Happy Plates, another session. This week, really colourful, free flow and playing with shapes and imagination activity. So you're gonna end up with acrylic paint and then drawing on top of that, but suggested by brushstroke shapes, visible bristles, and I'm inviting you to use preferably household brush, big brush. If you don't have that, the biggest brush you can find, something that is not precise and will give you that flow and movement. Use the colors you want and then go on top of that with the drawing. So have fun. It's quite effective activity. Looks really good when you finish, so I think you're going to surprise yourself and be pleased with your own work. Share on our Facebook group, and I see you next week. Bye bye.
Okay, let's get started. So this week we're working with acrylic paint and then drawing with Bayer on top of it. Have my paper here. I taped it to the table. You don't have to do it. I just like to do that. Use any paper that you believe is going to be able to have paint and drawing on top of it. So mixed media paper, watercolor paper is okay, but also this is just the cardstock paper will do. So the colors I'm using, make sure you have something, maybe a paper plate. I'm using those paper palette things that you can spread your paint. So let me just dab. I'm not using a lot, so just want to show you, because quite often we end up with paint leftovers, which is not a bad thing because then I use it in my journals, but if you have nothing to use, it's a bit of waste. Blue. So I know this will give me green, and I have white. So I'm using rather light colors because I'll be drawing on top of the paint. So if you use very dark colors, you can still draw on top of it, but preferably with white pen. So my paint is here, and I'm using a very white, this is household brush. So maybe you have something left from your house painting. If not, the whitest brush you can get in your brush sets. And it's quite stiff as well, that gives me different marks. So what I'm doing, I'm just going to spread those colors. I need more of that blue. Okay, so I'm going with my blue first, and look at the strokes. A very white, of course, but they're nothing perfect. I just want the movement, to get that movement on the page. Sometimes I do circle motion. This brush is quite stiff, the bristles quite stiff, so you can see it leaves different marks. Going to create a bit of purple now with pink and blue. Not even cleaning my brush in between. All mixing happens on the brush, basically very much on the brush and here on the paper. Acrylic dries quickly, so the longer you leave it, the more you're able to go on top of it and create another layer without blending. Okay, so now I'm going to my yellows and white. Sometimes you can paint just with the edge or corner of your brush. And some pink for contrast. I'm just going between the colors and create those strokes. Sometimes I would come back when I know the paint is still wet and move it into another direction. Okay, I'm going to leave that like now. Allow that fully dry, and when it's dry I'll come back to it. The last stage before it's dry, if you have any paint leftovers and you don't want to waste it, just get it on your edge and just fill in some areas that you feel have too much of one color and you want to introduce something else. Okay, here we go. Let me dry it and then I come back to you with a dry piece. Okay, so I'm back with my painting. I took the tape off so you can see it's got like a bit of like white frame around it. The reason I've done it also is so I can move it around, because I'll be using my biro pen now and drawing on top of that, but I want to have freedom to move it around as I go. So this activity is about looking at the shapes created by the brush and following or being guided by those shapes and kind of emphasizing them with your biro pen. Normal pen will do. You can also use any pen really, even fountain pen will do, but I think biro is the best for it. So what I'm doing, I'm looking for the brush movement created here and emphasizing or getting it out by my by lines created with biro. The first thing I can see here is this kind of wavy shape, so I'm going to pull it out first by a bit of outlining. There's another one over here, kind of overlapping. And you know, and it's up to you how far you want to take it. This one for me, for example, I can see very clearly lines of bristles here, which I want to emphasize. And then do vary the line quality, the line thickness. You can make some lines bolder by going over and over the shape. You can use very delicate lines as well, for example, just barely touching your paper, your paint, dry paint with biro. That gives you another really lovely effect. Looks a bit like hair. Okay, so that's my first shape, and I may come back to that. It creates a bit like looks like a space hole here, which I think I'm gonna just go and cover fully, block it in black. So it gives it another dimension. Okay, like that. That's my first. And now let's pick up something. So turn your work as your piece of paper, turn it, keep turning it, because it helps you pick up the interesting movement. I really like this big one here. Okay, it's another one that you can again do as much as you want with it. Those shapes will overlap. You'll find really different overlaps on it, depending how you go with your pen. So you can see this is starting to develop, but of course this is very time consuming activity for the reason it's to slow you down. Look at those brush strokes, look at the texture and shapes, and how you can play with those shapes by adding additional drawing. So this is just the start. I'll carry on working on it. How far you want it, you don't have to fill with drawing every single brush stroke. That's not the point. It's just about making a picture that you are happy about. So think about where those drawings are. I'm probably going to develop my hair in this area, and I get some bits here. Then I come back to you and show you how it looks. Okay, this is where I am with my project. So this is all done just with a pen by variation of line thickness. Some of the areas like this one here filling fully with the black pen, and all those shapes are guided by the brush stroke shapes. So I haven't really added anything special. This is all indicated by those wide brush strokes, and you can see here variation of using your pen lightly or creating strong lines. I haven't really added much patterns. I followed the lines of brush bristles really, and when I worked on it, remember to turn it to different directions. It helps to see. Actually, I like it this way much more. So you see, even I didn't know what I was doing. I really love this project. It's really relaxing, and I hope you enjoy it, and let me see what you created. Bye bye.